Hari Naam Sankirtan Yagi ki jai. Shri Shri Dhammitai ki jai. Pancha Tattva ki jai. Shri Guru Parampara ki jai. Bhakti Rasayana Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Iskon Guru Vrind ki jai. Samadetta Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. All glories to the Son of Devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Dhanmat Pranam. So, you're welcome to our home program. So, a few months back we started it, and it's called ISKCON Adelaide Home Program. So, we try to organize all the, with the devotees. So, we start with the Janak Raj Prabhu. You met him in the temple. He's a senior devotee, senior most devotee in Adelaide, Prabhupada disciple. And then our Dr. Nateshwar Prabhu and
Nateshwar
Prabhu, yes. And Mataji is there. I just call her Vijayanti Mala. What's Mataji? Your initiated name? Vasundhara Mataji. She's just Nateshwar Prabhu. And Anand Prabhu, the son. Okay, and Manju Mataji. Madhvi. This is the problem. So Madhvi Mataji. And Rasraj Prabhu, her husband, he's at work now. And his son is there, Siddhartha. And daughter, Nandini. And Sumedha, Satyabhama, Devidasi, she's sitting on the chair. She's my wife. She's initiated by, devotee. And Maria Mataji sitting there in the corner with a black jacket. And Tosha Mataji. And Antranga Mataji is there, and Antony Prabhuji, and then Subala, he is a brahmachari in the temple who was playing mridanga.
They look like brothers.
Yeah, they all sit together. And Sham Prabhuji, yes, he's a Antranga Mataji, and Sangita Mataji and the mother, their mother. So,
what's your name? Jyotirmaya.
Yeah, good. And then two boys, Abhishek and
Pius.
Yes. So, yeah, we have a small congregation, and then all are very, valuable member, always help each other in this movement. So, we are very happy you are here. You are welcome. And here she comes, our Laura Mataji and the Jaya Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
She's done.
Alright, so since I hardly know anyone, I suppose hardly anyone knows me too. So my name is, full name is Bhakti Rasayana Sagar Swami, but for many people this is too hard to remember. So short version is Sagar Swami. And I come from Russia originally, and I took sannyas from His Holiness Andrejumna Swami in 2016. I've been to Australia a number of times, I suppose like 10 times or so, but never been to Adelaide, so it's very nice to be here. Devotees are all pervading, everywhere, which is very nice. And so today I wanted to ask if anyone has any suggestions, because I looked at the ad, it just says spiritual program. Means anything goes, right? And so if anyone has any suggestion for the topic, or verse from Bhagavad Gita, what topic would be good, I think. If anyone suggests topic, we can find verse from Bhagavad Gita or anything you wanted to hear about
seem to remember that some time ago, I think a long time before you took sannyas, there was a video of you, some dancing in Russia. A lot of, maybe this is commonplace. But I think you've always been very much involved in preaching. From what I remember of this video, you were going out and grabbing people and getting them to dance. It was a very ecstatic video. It was very nice. So maybe you could say something to us about how we can, because we understand it's the most pleasing thing to the Lord when we tell other people about Him. So maybe you could say something to us about how we could increase our preaching.
Okay. All right. Good topic. Thank you. I think one of the verses which Srila Prabhupada was using from Bhagavad Gita to highlight preaching anyway, there are so many verses in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada was, specifically referring to text 67 of chapter 18 and 68 and 69. So we can read these ones and then speak about sharing Krishna consciousness with others. Avagyantimirandasya Girandana Shanavate Chiksharan Militam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadam Ayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Patanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ya idam paramam guhyam mad bhakte shabidasyati. Bhaktim mai param kritva mam evaishyat samshayaha. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Generally, it is advised that Bhagavad Gita be discussed amongst the devotees only, for those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's a subject matter for devotees only and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries sincerely to present Bhagavad Gita as it is will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. And text 69. Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschinne priya krittama pavita nacha me tasmat anya priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So, sharing the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita with devotees is an activity which Krishna says very dear to him, and such a person will definitely go back to Godhead. Krishna says one will definitely come back to me. And to discuss devotional service amongst the devotees is very ecstatic. Right? Because Krishna consciousness is not static, it is ecstatic. And Krishna says in the 10th chapter, Matchita Madgata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Katayanta Chamam Nityam Tushyanti Charamanti Cha, that the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are dedicated to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss by always discussing my topics and enlightening one another. However, Srila Prabhupada made a lot of emphasis in introducing Krishna to other people who are not really devotees, right? And so, what are the basis of that understanding? But we understand that everyone is a devotee of Krishna, whether one knows or not. I heard Srila Prabhupada one time said, everyone in this world is my disciple, whether they know or not. And it's the expertise and power of the devotee to help people reawaken their spiritual consciousness of Krishna. And this is what Srila Prabhupada was doing, and it is advised that we introduce Krishna to those who are interested to hear about Krishna, who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord, as Srila Prabhupada says here in the purport, and avoid envious people, demoniac people. But if someone is really powerful, that like Srila Prabhupada, he could convert even very envious and very demoniac people, make them into devotees. There is one interesting story how Srila Prabhupada was interviewed by one reporter who was trying to kind of ask Srila Prabhupada all these kind of controversial questions and try to make an article which would kind of be offensive, basically, right? This is what these people do. They take some famous people, known people, and then they present them in the wrong light, and so this is how they increase their sales. And so he was asking Prabhupada all these controversial questions, and of course Prabhupada knew really well why he's asking those questions, what's his intention. And normally it is explained that sadhus, they don't talk to such people, they just ignore such people. In Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada says that sadhus sometimes preach and sometimes keep quiet. And one devotee was asking, we can understand that devotees are preaching, but why are they keeping quiet? And Prabhupada's answer was, because devotee is not obliged. And so, but this was very interesting instance, because Srila Prabhupada did not ignore this man, but instead of answering his question, he asked him a question. And he asked the man, do you want to hear what you like to hear, or you like to hear the truth? And the man became a little confused. He said, of course I like to hear the truth. And then Prabhupada said, well, the truth is that you are spirit soul, and all of us are spirit souls, and Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for the next half an hour, Srila Prabhupada was explaining basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And this man, because he already agreed to hear the truth, he was listening very respectfully, and probably for the first time in the history of this blasphemous newspaper, there was a positive article about Krishna. So, this is the power of pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, that he can convert even demoniac and envious people on the spot, right? Krishna also explains that in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Tasham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Pritipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogantam Nilamami Payanti. And those who are serving me with love, I give them intelligence by which they can come to me and by which they can serve me, right? And so, Srila Prabhupada could say the exact words which would penetrate through anyone's ignorance, because he was directly guided by Krishna. And so, our qualification is just to repeat his words and represent him. There are many interesting stories from Russia about spreading of Krishna consciousness, unlimited actually, but one story I was thinking about, there was one man, and he was voracious meat eater, but he liked philosophy. And so one day he met a devotee on the street, and the devotee offered him Bhagavad Gita. And he said, this is very famous book on ancient Indian spiritual philosophy. So this man purchased Bhagavad Gita. And he came back home and started reading Bhagavad Gita with great interest. But soon he came across the passage where Prabhupada was condemning meat eating. And he said, no, this will never happen. You remember, right? Never say never. He said, these people, they want me to give up my meat, I will never do it. So he put the book down and he went to the kitchen and he prepared meat and ate it, and he fell really ill, so ill that he had to throw up. He was thinking, something's wrong with my health. So anyway, he decided to try again. After some time, again prepared meat, again took it, again same thing, felt ill, threw up, and no matter how many times he tried, he couldn't take meat anymore. And then he realized, these Hare Krishnas put a spell on me. It means I have to become vegetarian now. But he was belonging to this category of people who think that to be vegetarian means to eat cucumbers only till the rest of your life, till the end of your life. And so he actually went to the market. He bought a bunch of cucumbers, came back home, and started chewing those cucumbers with tears in his eyes. Hare Krishna's ruined his life. But after a while he realized, no, it's not going to work like that. I cannot survive with cucumbers only. So he decided, okay, these people ruined my life. At least I have to go and find them and ask them, how can I survive now? And so he found the temple. And interestingly enough, it was on Sunday. And he stopped one devotee, with big smile and with chubby face. And he was asking, like, how do you survive like vegetarians? And devotee said, well, we survive very nicely, so let's go, we'll help you to survive also. So they put full plate of prasadam in front of him. And he said, yeah, like this, it's not a problem. I thought, we're not supposed to. You're not supposed to do like this. You're not supposed to eat so luxuriously. But then he didn't know how to cook. So then he had to sign up for cooking classes. And of course, in this process, devotees taught him how to offer food and how to chant japa. And so now he's second initiated, Brahmin initiated devotee, and the leader, one of the leaders in Moscow community. So this is the power of Prabhupada's preaching. Just by coming in touch with Bhagavad Gita, his life completely transformed. Yeah, because Bhagavad Gita as it is, pure message. And so Prabhupada was saying that pure product, nothing can compare to pure product, because the message presented purely means Krishna is coming directly without any hindrance. One devotee was distributing books on the street, and this was winter time also in Moscow. And Moscow is pretty cold, much colder than here. And so it is minus, sometimes up to -20, and it is snowing and icy roads. And so the devotee stopped one lady, young lady, and he offered her books. And one book he was holding in his hands was Krishna book, right? And then she saw the title, and she said, Krishna, I'll never take this book. I'll never, have anything to do with Krishna. And because she was so irritated, she kind of turned around very abruptly to show her displeasure. But then she slipped, and she actually started falling. And this devotee was brahmachari. And brahmachari not supposed to touch ladies, right? But he was thinking, she might fall and break her bones. So what do I do? So Krishna gave him intelligence. Instead of giving his hand to her, he gave her Krishna book to grab on. And she actually grabbed on Krishna book, and she, got her balance back. And she was like, you can imagine, nearly falling, and she was kind of shocked by that. And she was grabbing onto Krishna's book. And then devotee let his hand go. And then she ended with Krishna book in her hand. And then devotee said, look, Krishna saved you today. And she said, yes, it means I have to buy this book now. So many, many amazing things are happening when we try to present Krishna to people. And it is the proof that what Krishna explains, that this is the most important activity in his eyes. And of course Lord Chaitanya, he is Krishna himself, and this was the purpose he specifically came for, to enjoy this pastime. And I was thinking that making others Krishna conscious or helping others in their spiritual advancement, it seems like the activity for the benefit of other people, but actually we're doing this for our own benefit. Because the most important thing in life, of course, is to always remember Krishna and never forget him. And it is very difficult to remember Krishna if you are surrounded by materialistic people, right? But if you are surrounded by devotees, for example, when you are in a holy place or in the temple, remembering Krishna becomes very easy, right? Anyone had this experience? And it's very easy to remember Krishna. In this situation, it's even hard to forget Krishna. Like, I remember I was in Vrindavan, and it is explained that any devotional service you do in Holy Dham, the results multiply 1,000-fold, right? So, if you chant one round of japa in Vrindavan or Mayapur, it is like chanting 1,000 rounds in Adelaide or Moscow or New York or any other place. So naturally devotees take advantage and they try to chant as much as possible in the holy places. So I was also like walking somewhere and chanting my japa, but my mind was busy with something, I can't remember, travel plans, whatever, shopping, so many things. And yeah, I was not thinking of Krishna even though I was chanting Hare Krishna. And then one Brajabasi was walking towards me. And these people are, I don't know, they, kind of see you through. They are really telepathic. And he was walking somewhere, then he stopped, he looked at me. And he realized, I'm completely distracted. And then he said, Haribol! In a very pointing way, Haribol! Not just, Haribol can mean anything, right? Haribol can mean hi, Haribol can mean bye, Haribol can mean excuse me, whatever Haribol can mean. Please give me prasadam, please take prasadam. But in this particular instance, he actually meant Haribol in its original sense. Chant the holy name. When you chant, chant. And it was so penetrating. I was thinking, my God, I'm so distracted that it's so obvious. So yeah, I should, when I chant, I should think of Krishna. And so I was thinking, if you are in such a holy place, even if you try to forget Krishna, that devotees will not let it happen. They will help you to remember Krishna. Yeah, so many funny things happening in Holy Dham. I was going one time to the airport, and my flight was really early in the morning, so I had to go at night. We started at 2 o'clock at night or something like that, so driving in the dark. And something happened with the electrical system in the car. And so, short circuit or something, and then all the lights went out. And the driver didn't care. There were no lights. And outside there were no lights also. So we were driving like in a pitch dark. You don't know where you're going. And he was driving with quite a high speed also. And I was like thinking, what's happening? But these guys, I don't know, they have some kind of super senses, They can see in the dark. They can read your thoughts. And so he was driving, and I was like praying to Krishna, let us get there safely. And then he looked at me and he said, so, you're gonna be staying in Vrindavan? I said, what do you mean? I'm leaving Vrindavan. He said, according to Rupa Goswami, as he explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, even if you live Vrindavan physically, you have to keep Vrindavan in your mind and heart. And he started preaching to me, the taxi driver. In such a situation, he's giving me class, philosophical class. Rajapasis are outstanding people. So anyway, it's like, I'm sure many of you have been to holy places and you have your own experiences, how amazing it is. How many of you been to Vrindavan, Mayapur, Puri? Okay, more than half of you. And so, yeah, it's amazing spiritual experience to live in these kind of places, because everybody is a devotee, and so it's so easy to remember Krishna. But why it is so hard to remember Krishna outside of the holy places? Because there are so many people who are absorbed in their own thoughts of sense gratification, and it's kind of association which affects us also. And so actually we understand that this is for our benefit. We want as many people as possible to become Krishna's devotees, so that we could live in a very nice spiritual atmosphere. So that's why I was thinking that we're actually trying to spread Krishna consciousness, not for someone's benefit, for our own benefit. It's kind of selfish activity, but others are also benefiting in the process. It's like any successful business. If you really appreciate something, if you really value something, then people also have enthusiasm to share your taste. It's like my spiritual master was telling the story about a diamond shop, and one very wealthy man, he came into the diamond shop and he wanted to buy some diamonds for his wife, and he was talking to the salesman, and apparently this guy, he was really phenomenal. He knew everything about every single gem, where it's coming from and how it is cut, etc., etc. And he was telling this man, everything about all these diamonds, and he was showing him every single ornament they had in the shop. But somehow this man, he didn't get inspired to buy anything. And so he was about to leave. And then at that moment, the owner of the shop went in and he said, "Looks like you spent quite a bit of time in here and you haven't bought anything." And the man said, "Yeah, I couldn't find anything suitable." But then the owner said, "Just give me 1 second, I know exactly what you need." And so he actually pulled out an ornament which he already saw. And he just showed this ornament to him, and he said, "Just look at it carefully and imagine how nicely it will sit on your wife." Right? How nicely, it will decorate your wife. Just few words, and suddenly this man's vision changed, and he realized, wow, this is a really amazing piece of art. And then he said, "Okay, how much it is?" And then he quoted the price. And this businessman, without bargaining, he immediately bought this piece. And then he was walking out. But then he stopped and he said, "Just 1 second. I want to understand something." He came back to the owner and he said, "Your salesman spent so much time with me and he was telling me so many amazing facts about diamonds. I never became interested in buying anything. But when you came in and you didn't tell me anything exciting, you just told me that this piece will really suit your wife well, and immediately I bought it. Not only that, I didn't bargain, which for businessmen is like unbelievable, right? Buy something without any bargain. And he said, how did you do that? What is your secret? Because I'm also a businessman, you're also a businessman, so could you please share your secret? What's the difference between you and your salesman? Why are you so powerful? And owner of the shop, he said, the difference is very simple. My salesman knows everything about diamonds. He's like walking gem encyclopedia. And I simply love diamonds. That's all. So we can understand that it's actually taste for Krishna, right? Which is making the difference, not knowledge, not theoretical knowledge. And so it's really important to develop our taste for anything connected to Krishna consciousness, and then we can share it with other people. And they will definitely become interested. Because there is so much to say. Any questions or comments? Anything else you wanted to hear?
That is very nice, Maharaj. Want to make the best use of your visit here, and urge all of you to attend every single class that has been published. And I think there are some evenings available still. Is it a program?
Yes, on Tuesday and Wednesday. We have a
Still available. Still available. That anyone shows interest in having a home program, please contact Bhakti.
yes.
And because we want to make the most use of this visit, and we thank you so much for your sharing. Yes.
Yes.
Maharaj, I want to just know something about His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj. He's very musical. I saw a lot of CDs and YouTube. He's very creative in the music and everything. Can you just put some light on that?
Well, of course he had experience with music in his youth, but again it's his taste for the holy name, which is really affecting people, and that's why he dedicated his whole life for the propagation of the holy name on a large scale. And that's why he has so many amazing experiences. He writes about in his diary on the traveling monk, which are so unbelievable sometimes devotees can't even. They think it's exaggeration. But I've been witnessing certain episodes, and I know that certain things he's just, not describing even. And yes, I remember when he came one time to Moscow, and he was doing his kirtan, and the devotees, after a while, they really went berserk. That not only dancing and whirling and jumping and doing whatnot, but one devotee actually stood up in the middle of the temple room and he started shouting. He said, "Look, everyone, this is the spiritual world. This is the spiritual world. This is the spiritual world." As if he completely lost his mind. And so after this kirtan, all the devotees were like in a different dimension, and one lady came to him, and then she started thanking him, and she was like glorifying his kirtan like anything. And normally when we are glorified like that, what we say, oh, nothing special, etc., etc., right? Trying to deny all these things. But Maharaj said very interesting thing. He said, thank you for your appreciations. I'm really glad that you're inspired by kirtan, but comparing to my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, I'm just a little spark, and he is the real fire. And if you're so inspired by my kirtan, just imagine how did we feel in the presence of Srila Prabhupada. So this was very expert way of, kind of passing on, instead of denying glorification, passing the glorification on to his spiritual master. And he's really expert in this. I'm always amazed how does he do that every time. So, yeah. It's not so much musical abilities, but it's focus on Krishna, taste for the chanting, and strong concentration on the spiritual master. That's the most important thing about his success, which is quite impressive. Preaching to, chanting, telling about Krishna, and feeding Krishna Prasadam to more than 500,000 people in Poland during Woodstock Festival, and giving discourse on Krishna consciousness over the central Mongolian TV broadcasting, reaching out to more than 2 million people with the class. So I was thinking that this is the secret of empowerment. Of course, we have many wonderful souls amongst Srila Prabhupada's disciples who are really empowered, and they do a lot of amazing things. But because, like personally I had experience of traveling with my spiritual master, I could witness many of those things. And so his example for me is very prominent.
How did you speak to Mongolian? Did you have translation?
Yes, they had to translate into Mongolian language. Yes.
Please tell us something about how you came into Krishna.
Wow.
What was it that inspired you?
I'll try to tell you maybe a short version of it. The first time I kind of come from religious family, even though I lived in communist Russia, but none of my family members or relatives were atheists or materialists. They all believed in God. And I was taught how to pray, etc. And I was born in Baku, Azerbaijan, which is a Muslim country next to Iran and Turkey. And so, yes, reading Quran and making prayers, even from my childhood. But I always wanted to know more about God, about spiritual life. But at that time, there was no access to any books on spiritual knowledge in communist Russia. And I was especially interested in yoga, meditation, karma, and all these things. And then I was looking for some literature, but the only literature which was available was propaganda literature coming from communist sources. And I found one brochure which was describing terrible Western cults which destroy people's lives. And the brochure was claiming that none of these terrible cults ever exist in our wonderful country. But this is what's happening in the West. Never go to that place. And so I read this brochure. It was describing quite a few groups, but from different traditions. But especially I was surprised that one particular group, first of all, the longest description was given to the group, and second of all, the author was really spiteful and hateful against this group. It was like coming through so clearly. Just imagine that the article started that there is one cult which is very prominent in Western countries, and all the people taking part in that cult, they are all crazy. There is not a single normal man. And how are they crazy? Because they don't even dress like normal people. Men are dressed in bed sheets, and women are dressed in curtains. And then all of them, men and women, put dirt on their forehead. And then men are shaving their heads, but not completely. Some part of the head remains unshaven. And in this fashion, they go out on the street and scare people with their appearance and harass people, trying to sell them books no one can understand. And when they become kind of, frustrated with these attempts to, and get money out of people, and when they become frustrated, in their frustration, sometimes they shout loudly and sometimes murmur to themselves meaningless words. And so the words were quoted in that article. Hare Krishna, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Right? And after I read this article, I was thinking, this is very interesting. It looks like communists really hate these particular people more than anyone else. And because communists were kind of my sworn enemies, I was thinking these people must be the best ones. And I was thinking, of course, these are all lies, because how crazy people can follow any discipline, right? This is the last thing crazy people can do. But these people obviously follow very rigid discipline. Regular principles were mentioned, etc., etc. These people ruining their lives by not drinking Russian vodka. Only crazy people can give up Russian vodka like that. This is so bad for health, etc. And I was thinking, these people follow discipline. Definitely they are not crazy. And plus, the words they chant, they cannot be meaningless words. Because, of course, crazy people can chant or shout meaningless words. Not a problem, but these will not be the same words. These will be different words. But all these people chant or shout or whatever, murmur the same words. So, obviously, these words have meaning. And I want to find out what is the meaning of those words, Hare Krishna, and who these people are. And so then I've contacted my friends, and I was living in St. Petersburg. This is the place I grew up. It's kind of capital, cultural capital of Russia. And so I was asking my friends, do you know anything about Hare Krishnas? And one of my friends said, not only I know about Hare Krishnas, but I also know some Hare Krishnas personally. And he said, it's unbelievable. Are they in Russia? He said, yes, of course. And I wanted him to take me to the devotees, but it was very dangerous at the time because many devotees were in prison. And this friend of mine was really afraid. And he said, I cannot take you there because we'll both go to jail for that. But I can bring you some books from them for you to read. So he brought me, I think, Easy Journey to the Other Planets. And you remember that yogi with chakras depicted on the cover. And we had no idea what these books are about. So he said, he pointed at the cover and he said, when we will become perfect, like this man on the cover, instead of talking with the words, we can communicate through these holes in the body. Like that, in a kind of mystical, telepathic way. So this was his explanation what Krishna consciousness means, right? Anyway, I was reading this book, and of course it was very hard to understand because so many Sanskrit words, but it was very interesting. Obviously it was about yoga, reincarnation, meditation, karma, and everything. And then so many times this book was referring to Bhagavad Gita. And I came back to my friend and he said, looks like their main book is Bhagavad Gita. Any chance to get that book? And he turned white, he became pale out of anxiety. He said, this is really dangerous. For Bhagavad Gita we can go to jail for a long time. And I was pleading with him and he said, okay, I'll bring it to you, but make sure no one sees us ever. And so he brought Bhagavad Gita, he showed very, very carefully. And I was, flipping through the pages, and Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and so many other things were there. And, like whole chapter dedicated to meditative yoga. I was thinking, wow, what a book. And I was telling him, can I have this book to read? He said, no. This book, I cannot risk giving you this book. I said, I'll pay you any money you want. And I had enough. And he said, no, that for no amount of money I want to risk my freedom. I don't want to go to jail. And so no matter how much I pleaded, he said no. And then he took Bhagavad Gita and he left. And no matter how much I was asking him, he never brought it back. And he never gave me any contact with the devotees. And as a result, I was looking for Bhagavad Gita for, I think, about 3 years. And at the end, I kind of gave up. I was thinking, okay, no chance. And it's very amazing when you lose hope, then Krishna suddenly shows his mercy, right? Anyone had this experience? And you think, okay, it will never happen. Again, never say never. Krishna makes it happen. And so I was thinking, okay, this is hopeless. And I was walking down the street, and then one young man approached me, and I looked in a kind of counterculture way with long hair, etc. Very, unusual for the communist Russia. And he immediately knew that, you know, I could be interested in what he has to offer. He said, I have some interesting spiritual books if you like to see. And immediately I knew that he has Bhagavad Gita, and he pulled out Bhagavad Gita. I was like, wow, this is the book I was looking for. How can I have this book? And he said, sure, yeah, just pay me. And he quoted some ridiculously cheap price, as I felt. I was thinking, this man is crazy. You know? He's ready to part with Bhagavad Gita for so little money. And so I purchased Bhagavad Gita, and I started I was reading it all the time, and coming across some exciting passages I was sharing with my friends. Some of the friends I've lost. Like that. Because, yeah, one of my friends, he was actually quite a good man, and he was coming from Jewish family, and he was working really, really hard, trying to save enough money to, immigrate to Israel. And I didn't take that into account, and I started reading to him, the purport from that Avajananti Mamuta, the 4 types of people who never, Namamdush Krishna Mutha Prapanyanta Narada. 4 types of people who never surrender unto Krishna. And 1 type of people are fools, like asses, who work really, really hard and sing songs, etc. And so I was just, I was so excited, and I was reading this purport to him. I was thinking he will also become excited. Then I looked at his face, and he looked so grumpy. I was thinking, what happened to you? And then he said, your book is calling me an ass. I don't want to know this book, and I don't want to know you. So he turned around and he left. Took it very personally. So anyway, but many people, many of my friends were appreciative, and etc. So like that. This is how it all started. You like to hear more?
Yes.
So interesting.
So, and then, the circle of my friends, they were really into rock music, and we were collecting LPs, etc., and listening to all these bands, especially British bands, Beatles, etc. And then chanting of Hare Krishna was a real fashion. George Harrison was singing it, and some other rock musicians later also sang it, like Nina Hagen and Boy George, etc., etc. And then some of my friends, one of my friends, he said, if you chant this mantra, you will have many amazing experiences in your life. And he didn't even explain to me what is this mantra and who is Krishna. He just said, you just chant this mantra, you will see what will happen to you. And then I was very curious. I decided to make an experiment, started chanting Hare Krishna. And I was really surprised by the effects of the chanting. Not just how it transformed the consciousness, but externally how things are changing. It's unbelievable that I was, anything you want in life, just chant Hare Krishna, it will happen, basically speaking. This is, especially in the beginning, Krishna is making this kind of arrangements, right? So I was using Hare Krishna for anything. Like I was looking for one. I was looking for my friend's address, home. I knew how the place looks like, but I didn't have the address, so I didn't know how to get there. I couldn't even ask anyone, and plus it was like really late at night, and I had nowhere to stay. I had to find this man, and I was thinking, how do I do that? And I thought, okay, let me chant Hare Krishna and go anywhere. And I started chanting and just went, and in 5 minutes I was standing in front of his house. Like that. And I mean, there were so many experiences. One, other one, we were doing hitchhiking, not because we needed to, but it was kind of a fashion, amongst our friends to travel by hitchhiking. And I was traveling quite a long distance, and I was in the middle of nowhere on the motorway hitchhiking. Motorway, freeway, what do you call it in here? And so normally, because we kind of looked really strange. I mean, torn jeans and long hair, and normal Russian people didn't want to risk dealing with this kind of characters. And only like the truck drivers would stop, and because they had to travel long distance, so they needed some company. And I was like hitchhiking for a couple of hours at least, and no one stopped. And it was getting dark, and I was thinking, oh, this is not good. Because I'm here on the motorway in the middle of the forest, basically speaking, right? So, and then I was thinking, and at that time I was trying to practice telepathy, but it's kind of, it was a kind of fashion at that time, trying to control other people's minds, trying to kind of impress people with your thoughts and force them to do what you want, right? And the first exercise was, if someone is standing with their back to you, you look at the back of their head with like serious concentration, and in your mind you tell, you should turn around and look at me. You should turn around and look at me. And so, if you developing those abilities, people supposed to turn and look at you, right? So this is how it works. No matter how much I tried, nobody wanted to turn. So I was like really frustrated. And then I kind of gave it up. I lost hope that I will ever develop these abilities. And then when I was standing there hitchhiking, I was thinking, I wish so much that I would have this ability. If I could do that, I would command the very first driver to stop and take me, right? And then I thought, what about chanting Hare Krishna? Can I combine the two? Like, mentally command the driver to stop and chant Hare Krishna? And actually, like, in my mind, I told Krishna, if you are real, make the very first driver stop. And it was not even a truck, it was just a regular car, kind of sports car also. Someone who would never stop for someone like me. And I was not really like hoping that it will work. So I didn't even lift my hand. I was just standing there staring at the approaching driver, and verbally chanting Hare Krishna, and in my mind I was thinking, you have to stop now, you have to stop now. And he stopped. And I came, I opened the door, and he looked kind of puzzled, even scared. He said, what do you want? I said, I need a lift. He said, okay, I'll give you a lift. And then I got into the car, and he was kind of tense, you could see it like that, he was looking at me. And I realized that he didn't really want to stop, some power made him stop. And then I've developed so much confidence in the Hare Krishna mantra. I was thinking, it's unbelievable. You can do anything in life, just chant Hare Krishna, and it will happen. And we've discussed with one of my friends. I was 18 at the time, and my friend was 19, just to give you the idea. Because at that age, I'm sorry if anyone is 18 or 19 here. At that age, you know, people do many crazy things without thinking about it. So, and we were discussing what do we want to do. And we came to the conclusion, we want to escape from this country because, you know, there was no chance to travel abroad in communist Russia. You had to, like, I don't know what you had to do to travel. It was like next to impossible. But we really wanted to go to India. We were thinking, you know, like, India is the place to go. And then we decided to actually cross the border and escape into India illegally. And with this idea in mind, and Russia, you can check on the map, does not have a physical border with India. It has border with Afghanistan and Pakistan, and only after these two countries there is India. And it's really a long distance away, long way away. But when we looked at the map, the distance didn't seem to be so big. And we never noticed the scale. And we decided, okay, let us try. And we went all the way to Central Asia. These are the countries which have a border with Afghanistan and Pakistan. And also hitchhiking, etc. And it was really amazing that all the way through, people would support us, give us money, you know, let us stay in their houses and feed us and everything. We were just chanting Hare Krishna. And when we came to Central Asia, I mean, we looked really strange, even for quite advanced St. Petersburg. But in Central Asia, people looked at us as if we were kind of animals from the zoo. They would like stare at us, you know, what these guys, the whole crowd of people would come. But somehow we didn't care about it. And we found a place and we started like making some research, how do we cross the border, and I needed to buy something in the shop, so I went to the shop for shopping, and I was passing through some really bad neighborhood, and I had no idea. And so I was walking alone, and there was no one on the street, and suddenly a gang of youngsters surrounded me from all sides, and their ringleader came to me and he said, "You are the stranger in here, and every stranger who passes through this area have to pay us penalty. So basically you have to give all your money in the pocket to me." And at the time we were like really chanting Hare Krishna basically around the clock. Whether it was verbally or Hare Krishna mantra was just kind of resounding in the mind. It's kind of special mercy from Krishna. And if you do like this for a while, after some time, your perception changes of reality. And you start seeing things in a completely different light. Basically what happens, you stop taking anything seriously anymore. That you see everyone, you see the whole world as one big stage and everybody as actors on the stage. Right? Because it's actually true that we're not these bodies, we're spirit souls, we're just playing the roles, right? Of man, woman, black, white, this and that. And so actually you start seeing this reality, that it's not serious, you know. Everybody is serious about their lives, playing their roles, but they are not these roles, right? And basically you look at people and it looks really funny how serious they are about their lives. And so you just walk around with kind of stupid smile on your face. You cannot like get rid of it. And so, and these guys surrounded me and they were like trying to scare me. And I was looking at them and I was thinking, this is interesting. They are playing the role of villains here, right? They're trying to scare me, and they're really trying hard. And I was looking at them and smiling. And the ringleader, he was confused. You know, he was like trying to make me scared, and then he saw me smiling. And he said, "Why are you smiling? Why are you smiling? I am serious. If you don't give me all your money, I will slit your throat now." And he pulled out a blade and he put it to my neck. He said, "Look, you see, I'm going to slit your throat right now. Pull out your money immediately." And I was looking at him and looking into his eyes. And his eyes were shifting. He couldn't look straight at me. You know, he was really nervous. I mean, probably it's not easy to just slit somebody's throat like that. So he was really nervous. And then I looked at his hand, and his hand was shaking. And I was thinking, this is amazing. He's trying to scare me, but he himself is so scared. How that works? And, you know, like, it felt so funny that I actually started laughing. And this guy, he was shocked. And he put his hand down. And he said, "He's crazy, let's run away from here." And they dispersed. And I was thinking, you know, Krishna, it doesn't look like a theater anymore, it looks like a circus. But anyway, I have my own business to mind, so I went to the shop, did my shopping, etc. It's pretty interesting. And then, you know, Krishna is doing things, especially in the beginning, to strengthen your faith, to make sure you are convinced that it's not a fairy tale, it's a real thing, right? And this is the most amazing thing, that Krishna is reciprocating with everybody according to their expectations, according to their nature. And anyway, you want to hear more?
Yes.
Or no?
Yes.
Maybe we should stop
No?
and continue next time, in a few years from now. You want to hear more? Okay. So,
Yeah, another 20 minutes.
okay. Then, yeah, we've decided, okay, we have to cross the borders. And we went to the shop and we got professional mountain equipment, which was consisting of, you know, laundry ropes and a couple of tennis shoes, 2 pairs of tennis shoes. This was our mountain equipment, because there was nothing else available. But we realized that we had to walk through the mountains for a long time, so we would need some high-calorie food along the way. So we went to the shop and we bought quite a bit of chocolate. Because this was our high-calorie food. But then I was thinking, no, that we should not just walk without any knowledge what's happening in the mountains. So there was a local museum, nature museum, which was kind of explaining what's happening up there. So we went there, and I was pretty shocked, because there were all these taxiderms of leopards and tigers and wolves and bears and all kinds of ferocious animals, and they were really big, and their teeth were like, my God, you know, like these guys could beat my head off in 1 second with their teeth. I was thinking, wow, this is serious. All these guys are up there. But anyway, we were so convinced that if we just chant Hare Krishna, everything will be all right anyway. We had so much conviction. And then we actually went up there, believe it or not. And we went maybe 100 meters or a couple of 100 meters above. And started climbing, chanting Hare Krishna. And then suddenly we saw a woman. And she was like running around frantically, and she ran up to us and she said, please help me. And we were like, what's happening? And she said, I've lost my husband in here in the mountains, and he's really depressed, and I think he wants to commit suicide. And if you could please help me to find him soon. And we were telling her no problem, that we'll just chant Hare Krishna and Krishna will bring us to the spot where this man is. And sure enough, we just went somewhere chanting Hare Krishna. We saw this guy in 5 minutes. He was standing on the cliff ready to jump down. And we were like, Haribo, Hare Krishna, and started running towards him and shouting, you don't have to worry, Krishna will take care of you. He will solve all your problems, you don't have to jump down now. And he was like, first of all, we looked really strange, and second of all, we were, you know, saying something about Krishna, so he got confused. And he actually waited for us. And he said, who are you, and who is Krishna, and why he has to take care of my problems? And so this was really exciting question, right? And so from 2 sides on his both ears, we started simultaneously like broadcasting the glories of the Lord into his ears. And he was like, wait, stop, don't do that. I cannot understand one single word what you're saying. Let's go down. I'm living nearby here, and you'll explain to me everything properly. We said, fine, no problem. So we went down, and he was asking very good questions, so we were telling him. And then about Krishna and about the mantra and everything. And then we were actually asking him, what happened to you? Why did you want to take your life? And he said, well, because I have a very corrupt boss, and he did something really vicious, and I reported on him to his boss, and I didn't know that his boss was also bribed by him. And instead of taking action on him, they took action on me, and they framed me, and they actually put me to jail, you know, because they contacted police, and they put me to jail for a year. So I served the sentence, and I came out, and they made sure I cannot get any job now. And he was like saying, all these rascal communists, they speak such a nice things, but their actions are so terrible, and you know, I'm so fed up living in this country. And we realized that this man is completely safe. You know, he's like, we can tell him anything we wanted, or ask him anything we wanted. And then he was actually asking me, you know, like, what are you doing here? And why were you in the mountains? And we actually told him directly that we want to cross the borders illegally and trespass and go to India. And he said, are you serious? We said, yeah. And he said, do you know how much you would have to walk in the mountains? And we said, we don't know exactly, but yeah, I think we are already prepared for a long walk. And he said, do you know how cold it is out there, and you're just going like that? You'll just freeze to death. You know, there is no place to heat yourself. There is no, and it's so cold and so windy in the mountains also. And, you know, there is no escape from the cold. But he said, even if you don't freeze to death, there are so many ferocious animals, and they're really hungry out there. They're just waiting for the guys like you. Free lunch is coming finally. And then he said, even if you will not freeze, and even if you will not be eaten, the mountain trails are so narrow and so covered with ice that even mountain goats, they sleep and they fall and they die. And you don't even have any equipment. But he said, even if you survive the cold and animals and trails, there is one final and the biggest danger there. And this is border control. Of course, there is no border there, because it's not possible to station anyone there. But they take regular rides on the helicopter around there, and when they see anyone moving, and it's really easy to see human being moving in the mountains because it's all white snow and someone's moving, they just shoot to kill. And they don't even bother like landing and and figuring out who was that. You know, they just shoot and leave you, that's it. And so many people were shot. And so he said, you know, you have no chances. You can try, of course, but I would never recommend it. And we listened to that, and we were like thinking, okay, Krishna is telling us something through this man. Maybe we should listen. But then we were asking him, so, but what would you recommend? What's the other option? And he said, actually, there is one motorway which goes through the mountains and through Afghanistan and Pakistan and straight into India. I think it ends up in Srinagar. Later I checked. He didn't tell Srinagar, but he said it goes straight through to India. Just one single motorway like that. And he said, the best option for you is to, if any of you have the driving license allowing to drive trucks, and my friend actually had that. He said, just get a job in the transport company, and of course you have to cut your hair and you have to look civil, not to make anyone suspicious. You have to sacrifice something if you want to achieve your goal. And then once you start driving, many times they drive their cargo next to the border. And so when you drive there, you just turn right there and you just break through the border with a truck. And of course, there will be shooting behind of you, there will be chasing, but you have good chances to kind of escape on the truck. And we were like imagining, you know. This is like scene from action movie. It's not something, and we were pacifists, so we were not into this kind of stuff at all. And we were thinking, no, that obviously Krishna is telling us to give up this idea. It's a suicide. And so, yeah, we had to give it up. And yeah, I just met that devotee who sold me Bhagavad Gita, and that's it. I didn't have any contacts with devotees. And then, yeah, I came back, and anyway, a few other things happened, which I will not be telling you now, but I was chanting Hare Krishna, but I was really young. I was 18, 19, and I really wanted to enjoy life. And I was chanting Hare Krishna, and my meditation is that I'll be chanting Hare Krishna, but I want to have every opportunity for sense gratification. And Krishna was actually providing that. I had much more money than I could spend, and I was really enjoying myself, trying everything. And yeah, like restaurants and partying and drinking and everything else. And at the end, I just spent so much time and money in casinos, just wasting all this money for nothing. And then I was hoping to get like happy with all this, but instead I was getting more and more depressed. And I was thinking, what's wrong? I'm chanting Hare Krishna, but why am I depressed? And then somehow Krishna sent me devotees along the way, and I was asking them, and they were saying, yes, that, okay, you are chanting Hare Krishna, but do you follow regular principles? And I actually had no idea. Of course, I was vegetarian, but that was about it. Nothing else I followed. And they were saying, yeah, you have to give up all this sense gratification. And I was really reluctant. But then I ended up being so depressed that I was thinking, you know, this leads me to nowhere, so I have to give it all up. And then, yeah, I came to the program with the devotees, and yeah, I basically in one day dropped everything and came and yeah, started practicing, and yeah. This was almost 30 years ago, 89. Still trying, still chanting, still traveling. So this is a kind of story in a nutshell. Oh. So, any other questions? I was thinking for the other classes, certain things I'm specializing in. One is education and training courses also, and they're all based on Bhagavad Gita. And there are a few specific topics which I found are very relevant for practically all the devotees. And those topics are life without conflicts and believe in yourself, power of sacrifice and cooperation, personal mission or predestination, as we call it, predestiny, focus, and intuition, contact with super soul. So if it's interesting for you, we could do something along those lines.
Yeah. In the morning, Sri Bhagavatam. In the morning, in the evening program.
Evening in the temple. Yeah.
Tomorrow evening. Yes, we can do tomorrow evening. Okay. Maharaj, and then in the temple we have a seminar room.
Sure.
Upstairs, big one. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you like, we can have life without conflicts.
Yes.
And professionally, I'm practicing mediation and resolving for more than a decade, and somehow it works. That whoever try, they'll get good results.
So, what time tomorrow? Anand? 7 in the evening. After Arti. After Arti, 7:30.
7:30. 7:30 to 9 or something. Yeah. Because training elements take time. It's not just class. All right. 5 minutes kirtan, and we finish. Yes.
Subala.
Thank you, everyone.
Subala. Subala. Kirtan.
Hare Krishna, jai, Prabhupada ki jai. Iskon Guru Vrinda ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the Assembled Lord. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.